There's a lot of talk surrounding this now. Let's start with the economy update in December. We covered this on the channel, and I believe it was, who was it that, here we go, Highlander gave us a pretty large Econ update last month. Let's double check on this. This is where all of the wipe rumors are coming from. I mean, it's this and the fact that like things are kind of rough. There was a question asked that said, there have been large exploits. Why are we now getting even more ways of making more money? Isn't the timing here a bit bad? Can I introduce you to Star Citizen, my friend? Timing? Highlander said, yes, the exploits from the last 2 patches have been rough for the game and the economy. As a result, a full wipe is likely at some point down the line. That's it right there. If you're wondering why all the wipe talk, why all the wipe drama, why is everybody thinking there's going to be one this patch, it is this line. And this line was shared almost a month ago now, which, you know, it's bubbled. It's been a little bubble gut for the last 20 days. But in the last couple of weeks, as 4.6 has approached, people have been citing this line and pointing towards the possibility that a wipe might happen. Now, a lot of folks who are into Star Citizen know a wipe may be happening means sometime in the next, like, I don't know, 12 months. But for somebody who's a little bit more new, it might be thinking this could be in the next 12 days or possibly in the next couple weeks. That's not the timeline that Star Citizen works on. He says here, let's speak about the abundance of earnings you are currently getting. If you feel like you are gaining more AUEC than you can spend, that's intentional. When we look to add the badly needed sinks and cost decisions later this year, keep that in mind, those new costs will be balanced against the current AUEC earnings. That said, we want feedback and analytics on those numbers as they are now so that we can correctly implement those sinks. For now, you might find that your AUEC earnings are much higher than your expense necessitates, but rest assured that the values will start making sense down the line. And then he says here about the wipe, not even speaking about others that need to give a go-ahead for a wipe. Personally, I want to be able to see at least half a patch's worth of analytics to confirm that none of the existing exploits are still occurring before I'd be in favor of doing a wipe, even if it's badly needed. Now, a couple important details here. He says personally, he says he would want to see these analytics. He says before he'd be in favor of doing a wipe. Highlander is not making the decision on an economic wipe in the game. He's just giving his thoughts here. That being said, half a patch's worth of analytics with the exploits being gone, we wouldn't necessarily know exactly when they're gone, but there's a good chance it'll be in the patch notes when they do wrap up some of the exploits people know about. When that happens, I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch of hubbub, right? Like people are going to be very much cheering, hey, the exploit's gone. They're not duping stuff anymore. Guys, maybe we can consider a wipe now because it's going to be another half a patch worth, at least from his perspective, before they would do a wipe. And I'm doubting he would be the fastest to jump back in. So I do think that whatever his perspective as to how long they need, his boss is probably going to want a little more time to check on that. In terms of the possibilities of there being a wipe in Star Citizen, it could happen, but I think we will know at least 4 weeks before it does happen. I think by the time, like, if we are seeing 4.6 come out, that's our opportunity to see if maybe 4.7 ends up having a wipe, right? Like, how is 4.6 performing? If it's really good, if the economy's been fixed, if things are running well, they're probably starting to think more about it. But on top of that, it's not just about that. It's about the fact that certain things require a wipe. So we did a wipe when PES came in. We did a wipe when server meshing. Did we do a wipe when server meshing came in? We might not have. But we've done wipes generally when large economic or item-based changes have happened. The next one that we expect is crafting. This bad boy is going to change how minerals spawn in the game. It's going to add quality levels to all the stuff that we have. It's going to probably require a new inventory to come into the game so that we can properly manage all of these different tiers of things and the various quality levels of materials and commodities, our loadouts. All this stuff needs to be brought in to support crafting. So I think inventory and crafting might come at the same time and are going to be very, very intertwined with the way the back end is handled, the way the assets are transferred. Mining is going to have to change. Item recovery is going to have to change because This inventory is bringing in item registration, which includes item recovery tier 1. Like, there's so much coming with crafting that I don't think you should worry about even the possibility of a wipe happening until we know that crafting is coming into the game, because the most likely time of the year when they would have to do a wipe would be when this happens. I'm not saying there won't be a wipe before that. I'm just saying, like, don't panic too much. It's Star Citizen, and it's going to have times where you lose progress that you really should not have lost. The state of this alpha is frustrating when speaking about making progress and persisting that progress and living a life and like getting ready for the game in less than 8 minutes. There's a lot of things that don't play perfectly in Star Citizen, and one of those things is the persistence and database. We don't have to wipe, luckily, like we did back in the day. For those of you who've been around, back before 3.12, 3.10, no, back before 3.9, every single patch, every 3 months, it would wipe your progress. It wasn't until 3.9 that things started to actually persist, and after that, I think we only had 3 wipes in total since then, in the last 5 years. So they're not like crazy happy to always do wipes. And I swear, if I could just find this line from Jared, it's here somewhere.
I want to jump in here to make sure that this doesn't get lost in some of the stuff I'm checking. So there's two issues. We need to step back and explain how the checkout and the stow works, because that's causing some confusion. We'll do that in a second. But this bug where first bug is things aren't getting stowed right. Things aren't getting stowed right, and so so when it comes time to entitle at the beginning of a new patch cycle, you don't get the thing. Sometimes it's not getting stowed at all. Sometimes it's getting stowed and being logged as a component part or something else, and that's why it's like, oh, I'm supposed to have a ship. I don't have my ship, but I have this cooler instead. That I don't think I own this cooler and whatnot. We were on a call, you and I, until it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. My time, when we were investigating this and just giving you examples, and we were trying to figure out what's going. The man was literally inside the raw LTP database. We were checking individual items, like talking to backers on Twitter and Discord, and like, okay, when did you do this and what did you do this? Like working down at the most granular level in the middle of the night, trying to figure this out back, and I can't even remember what patch it was, to figure out that they were being stored as other items. Yeah. And so that you can write the SKU to fix that stuff. Yeah. But all of this happens because of something that we haven't explained before, and that's the checkout and stow system. So talk to me about, and talk to me. Be candid.
Yeah, this is okay. So this is their kind of explanation as to how they're going to make sure that we don't lose everything all the time, even though we're supposed to have persistence, which is the most annoying part of the game right now. I think one of the biggest things that's keeping people from playing is just that, like, sure, there's persistence, but is it really persistence?
This stuff. So you buy something on the website, it gets stored in a website version of this database where all these things are done. You log into the game. When you log into the game, it says, "Hey, I need my entitlements. What are the things that this person owns from this other thing?" It queries this other database that's on the platform, on the web, whatever, gets a list of things, pulls down, and that's why you have it. That system works. It's great. It's pretty robust. It's people don't have any trouble getting the stuff that they buy. That's why that's always there. That's great. Whew. All right. Everything else you buy in the game is super insanely plentiful, from giant spaceships made of all these components down to individual bullets and everything. And it's all physicalized and whatever. Maintaining all of that for every single player, every single version that gets left over and stuff is simply not possible. It's simply too big a thing. So we have to decide what to save and what not to save. LTP is this as a separate database, not the entitlement database over here, a separate database of the things that you have purchased, found, earned in game that gets locked to that. We make choices on what that is. Bullets, no. Med pens, no. A spaceship, yes. Armor, yes. So, and there are lots of areas in between, but we'll go with the extremes here. Med pens and spaceships. We'll use spaceships. We'll keep with spaceships as the example because it's the easiest way to explain this. So you've bought the spaceship, you've earned the spaceship, whatever. You land it in a hangar, you stow it, boom, it creates an LTP record. Doesn't create that LTP record until you've got it home, you stowed it, and boom, you've got it. The next time you try to fly it, you pull it up from the hangar. That coming up from the hangar elevator is more than just a nice visual. It is a representation of what's happening to your LTP record. It is pulling that out of LTP and moving it into the live server game database, the universe of the world, so that you can fly it around. It needs to do this in order to work for things like piracy and theft and prevent item duplication. It has to come out of there to go here. So that's how we prevent duplication. This is all in a perfectly working scenario. There are plenty of bugs that creep in here. People are like, wait, I didn't stow this and I came back to two versions of the ship. Those are bugs. We're talking about how it was designed to work. You take it out, you're flying, it's no longer in LTP, you're flying around. It's out there until you bring it back to a hangar, stow it, make it go down, and whatnot. At which point it recreates the LTP record, puts it back in. If your ship is destroyed while you're out flying it, it doesn't create your new LTP record until you hit the claim button. You hit the claim button and then it cleans that up, puts it into the LTP record. So that's not something we've ever been super great at communicating to people, and why sometimes it's like, well, why have I lost the ship? Why have I not lost the ship? We're explaining these things to help you better fight that fire until these new changes come in. That system has lots of bugs, lots of flaws, lots of issues here and there.
Can you guys confirm in chat? Are there bugs with the persistence system? Do we have problems with that?
If you took anything from Benoit's conversation, his attitude, his demeanor, we fully recognize the limitations of it. Like many things in Star Citizen, it was a product of its time, and it needs to be revised and helped and bolstered as the game continues to grow and get more complex.
And so
those are things you can do to help assuage that. Obviously, everybody knows the thing about landing and getting it back to the hangar. Don't forget to claim your things in the ASOP. It's not going to fix everything. There's still all the outlying bugs and issues and stuff, but it's another thing that you can do to help yourself in the meantime. That said, we have a new solution that we're going to put into effect, and I'm not going to say anything when I throw it back to Benoit, he can say what he wants to say about when. When you earn a ship, when you buy a ship and whatnot, it ensures you've gone through the mission reward or the Wicklow thing or the buying, not when you steal it from somebody else, but when you do one of the legitimate ways. We are going to create an entitlement record, not an LTP record, an entitlement record up in another database that's just like the one that we use for when you buy things. Yep. And then from that point on, now that we've created that record over there in that database, not inside LTP, that means that no matter what happens, the next time you log in, you're going to have access to your ship. The next time we do a patch, you're going to...
This whole talk is basically just to try and make the game more... I've gone over multiple times that there is this jump that happened in 2020 that I think a lot of it was because of the pandemic. Like, this is very clearly everything that happened after 2020 is different from before, judging by the amount of money that was coming in, judging by the amount of players that were coming in, except 2016 was a huge year. Actually, players is not as much a difference. The money is mainly, but there was a difference. And I think that big difference was persistence. In, was it April? I think it was March or April, they dropped 3.10, as I referenced earlier this video. 3.9, sorry, April of 2020, right here. They dropped a patch that finally allowed for things to persist between updates. And then the next month, now May is always a big month, but the next month was immediately their biggest funding month ever. And ever since then, it didn't really change. I think that persistence and having an actual game to play, and like last year proved, having content and stability to drive that forward, even if we're missing features and those features are still being built and dangled in front of us like carrots and made to make us hate ourselves and wake up in cold sweats at night. Even with those features taking forever, people are much happier to play this game when the persistence is working. So I think one of their biggest goals at this point, besides social tools, should be trying to make sure that they don't have any more persistence glitches that cause people to take a step away. How many of you in chat purposefully avoid certain types of gameplay because you just don't care to earn things because you think you're going to lose them. Or better yet, this whole conversation surrounding wipes and how people don't want to play the game because they think there's a wipe coming up. As soon as you think you might lose your stuff, the game loses so much of this for a lot of folks. Which is why this was a very interesting revelation from Jared in Star Citizen Live this was 2023, I guess. I thought it was 2024. I thought this happened in 2025, but here is the statement I was looking for about wipes.
From this point forward, it'll be something severe. It'll be something that we've all come together and said there's just no other way forward. And so that is still a possibility. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say it's not. But the intention from everyone at every single level is to do every single thing we can from this point forward to avoid. From this point forward,
he got cut off.
It'll be something we can from this point forward to avoid.
Wipes. The next word was supposed to be wipes, but it got cut off. I don't actually know what video this is from. Not So Live, Soonish, Star Citizen Live. I'm not going to go through the work of trying to find this, but this is back when he was saying that. And just trying to reiterate that, like, they are trying their hardest to not do a wipe. And somebody in chat, maybe you could remind me, did they actually do any wipe for 4.0? I don't think they did. And we've definitely had exploits between this video and 4.0, and they haven't wiped for them. So I think there's a lot more thought that's going into making the decision than what we're thinking. They did wipe. Did they wipe everything? It was the last wipe. Was it all of the stuff, or did they just wipe one part? It was all of it. So that kind of sets the precedent then. A 4.0 type of update with something like server meshing seems to be the sort of thing that they would wipe around. Maybe they'll do it for exploits, but everything that they've communicated makes it seem like it has to be a pretty big deal. And we will get some forewarning if it does happen. When did we know that there was a wipe coming in 4.0? Major wipe was confirmed for 4.0, November 20th. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so they made an announcement for 4.0's wipe. It looks like November 20th, 2024, and the update itself didn't come out until March, I want to say. With 4.0, we'll be resetting all 3 pillars of long-term persistence. This is essential to support the major updates coming in the milestone and help us push for a stable, balanced gameplay experience on live release. First, reputation will be reset to prepare for upcoming major updates. The economy is another key factor driving this wipe. Over time, wealth has accumulated, which will need to reset to continue balancing various economy-based systems. Additionally, introducing our second system requires a fresh items database wipe. This is key because this shows that they have the ability to wipe 3 different things: reputation, money and wallets, or your item database. They don't have to wipe everything at once, and we are talking about the possibility of a wipe coming up, but as even the developer said here, yeah, this is a wipe basically because of exploits. So there is a possibility that even if they were going to wipe everything with the exploits coming up, they leave your reputation and, probably just your reputation intact. Let's be real, they're going to dupe items too. So that was the last announcement for a wipe, and it came a total of 3 months before the update. Now, that probably won't be the same. 4.0 was a weird update, but it did come at least 1 month before the update. If everything had gone well with 4.0, it probably would have gone live in late December. So I'm going to go ahead and guess, folks, if a wipe is coming in the next patch, we're going to have at least 3 weeks of official notice. It's not going to be some kind of rumor that's bouncing around because a dev said that they think a wipe might be beneficial once we've had half a patch to understand whether or not the fixes have been fixed. Let's not panic over things we don't need to panic about. Let's all turn our attention back towards master modes, huh? Let's talk about things that matter, that truly are ending the world and causing chaos around the globe. And with that, I rest my case. Good luck, everybody.